Hello and welcome back to the Startup Club. I'm Ajay Kumar, and today we have a special interview lined up. Okay, so what is this interview about? So we have all heard about a lot of successful startups, a lot of entrepreneurs trying to launch their startups. They're coming up with innovative, crazy ideas. But where does it all begin? How do these people come up with these ideas? How do they manage to launch an entrepreneur, their own startup? How do they become entrepreneurs? What is the journey like? All of these questions. If you are somebody who's interested in entrepreneurship or launching your own business, and you want to talk to some of the fellow entrepreneurs who have been doing it very successfully and understand how the journey is and what are the challenges they came through and how they've been able to pivot to through the challenges and achieve their goals, then stay tuned in this video. We are going to discuss a lot about that, where we cover a lot of questions on entrepreneurship and startups with one of our very special guests. All right. So while we are sitting down with this amazing person called Raghav, right? Um, he has come up with a fantastic initiative that provides free software programming courses to young students. How cool is that, right? So let's dive right in. First and foremost, a warm welcome to our guest, Mr. Ragavendra from Shuddhi Trust. We are thrilled to have you, Raghav. And could you please introduce yourself and tell us about your role and your startup?
Thanks, Ajay. Thanks for the welcome. So my name is Raghav Yarasi, and my full name is Ragavendra Yarasi, but you can call me Raghav. So I'm 33 years old. I'm based in Chennai. I have a nonprofit called Shuddhi Trust. It was started in 2017, but officially registered in 2021 of February. So it's a very young startup, and I'm the founder. I'm the sole founder. We have another managing trustee. It's a legal requirement to have two managing trustees, but I'm the only guy who's been doing it for the past 5 years. But we have volunteers here and there. So right now we are at a stage where we've established a product. So I'll tell you a little bit about Shuddhi Vidya, which is our main initiative. So we are, when I first started it, I wanted to explore like what are the different avenues in which we can invest ourselves. This started as a personal journey, like to want to do something that is beyond just my personal life. I wanted to do something that was more than just my own personal life, investing my own personal life. So when I was looking around, one of the biggest things that I wanted to look into was education, because this is the gateway for the next generation. Every child is going through this, and then they're getting ready to be the leaders and the impact creators of the next generation. And we have to carefully examine the fundamentals of this process. Right. So I wanted to do something in that regard, and I started doing some field research about like how can I impact this. So I went to different schools in rural areas, and I got the government some permission to teach there. So I spent while I was working full time, I went to different rural schools and started teaching something about computers. Like I just wanted to assess where they are and what would be useful for them, and then started doing that for some time. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the psychology of the children of that age group, and what works, what doesn't work, what are the things that they require, and just understanding how we can actually impact them in a realistic way at a large scale. So I've seen a lot of nonprofits in this area, and they do a lot of great things in small scale. But one of the things that I was really set on doing was like we need to have something impactful on a large scale. Only then it's possible for us to create a revolution. There's no scope for reform. I mean, you cannot. I don't think our education system is up for a reform. It can't happen. It has to happen to a revolution, and the only way the revolution can happen is if it happens at a large scale. You cannot have small scale revolution starting at small points. So I knew that I had to do something at a large scale impact, and so I shifted from doing like in-person classes to doing classes remotely. And this is when pandemic also happened, and a lot of schools and a lot of children were getting used to the idea of online classes. So it was really something that benefited my initiative. So I started teaching. I started conducting online remote classes, and through that, we had a lot of success. And eventually, it evolved to the point where it is right now, which is like a much more streamlined way of doing things.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Raghav, I mean, this is very interesting, right? The thought process, how you came up with, educating young minds, underprivileged students, to enable them with the latest technology and in terms of the knowledge. So this is a very, very, powerful idea that you've come up with. But genuinely, bro, what I want to understand right now is, as a fellow guy who's an aspiring entrepreneur, where did this all start from, right? Talk to us about you. Who's Raghav, right? And how did you come up with this interest towards entrepreneurship? And what is the starting point to it, right? So that is something that I am really curious to know about. And what is your where did you get this inspiration to do something for students?
Right. Actually, this is a really important question because I feel a lot of people are in this path, and it's important to understand their origin stories and motivation. So, I think a lot of people when they look, especially in this area of interest of startup scene, if you look at people, they're interested in creating profit for themselves. They're inspired by the Elon Musk and the Mark Zuckerbergs, or like other people, other entrepreneurs like Ambani, or whoever. Like their main thing that they are known for is making big money. And so they're coming in with a lot of interest in making profits. And I understand that. I used to be somebody who wanted to do something on for myself, and I understand the motivation. But there's something really transformational happened to me at some point in my life, when I was 24, and that's when I realized that I needed to do something for for the world that we're in. Like it's the question. Until that point, like I was thinking about, like, what do I want? How do I get it? And how do I use the things around me to get to what I want? And then I had a spiritual experience of some sort. I started exploring meditation, and it really helped me transform my life in a huge way. And then that's when things started clicking in as to, like, how my own mind works, and um, how like the process of desiring happens, like the things that we want in life, how they
Mhm.
come about. And and all those things happened, and I started understanding how my own mind functions. And this was at the time when I was studying in the US.
Mhm.
I was doing my research in neuroscience, and actually I incorporated meditation as part of my thesis because of my experience. So
Okay.
during my final year, as part of my thesis, I studied meditation as well. I was actually set to study pathologies like depression, and how attention in your mind is related to depression. And then because of my interest in meditation, I started adding the component of meditation onto the study as well. And it really transformed my perspective of how my own mind functions. And I really wanted to take a break from everything and started to explore, like, meditation and stuff. So that's when I came back to India. I was actually set to settle down in the US, like, pursue um, like getting in, because my profile was really something that was in demand in back in the US. Like, somebody with computer science background and neuroscience background is really in demand right now. So I had a lot of scopes open in the US, but I decided to come back because something about meditation really opened my mind to something much deeper, right? So I came back to India. I came back with the mindset of, like, wanting to take a gap year and then exploring meditation, then going back to the US. But
Mhm.
when I came here, I started getting into yoga because, like, I couldn't meditate for long periods because my legs were, like, really bad in bad shape. And I started getting into yoga because um, like um, that was something that would help me sit for long periods and meditate, right? So that's how it started. And then that one year became like multiple years, because, like, there was just so much depth to yoga and meditation that I was discovering. And it was in that period that I actually started learning, like, how to code, like web development, in a big way. And because I wanted to sustain myself, I didn't have a job or anything. I was just, like, going around places, like volunteering here and there, learning meditation techniques,
Mhm.
and doing yoga for myself, my own self improvement. I was investing those few years in that. And I'm really privileged that I had that opportunity, because I feel like not a lot of people have that opportunity, just to take off a bunch of years and just invest in your own personal growth.
Mhm.
So during that time, I learned coding and web development on my own and started building web applications on my own. So that's kind of where it started. And then that's when I decided, okay, you know what? I have the rest of my life ahead, and I don't want to go back to that previous, dream that I had of, like, building something for myself, what I wanted and all those things. I really felt like I'm an asset. And the question changed from what do I want, how do I get what I want, to what am I, and how can I invest myself for the rest of my life? Because when you think about it, we're all young people. We have a lot of energy to invest, and both of us, we're really smart. We can do whatever we want to take up. Like we have good skills, we have a strong capabilities and talents. We can use that in any which way we want. And
Right.
one of the things that I learned from meditation is that you can actually change your brain so rapidly that you can do pretty much anything that you want to do.
Hmm.
So the question changed to how do I invest myself? And then from there, the question changed to, okay, what is it that is so important that it would justify me choosing to invest myself in that?
Hmm.
So, those few years of just exploring meditation and just it just wiped out all of the things that I was previously engaged with. I was
Hmm.
into a lot of things like photography and video gaming, all those things. And somehow like those years of meditation just like cleared out all of those past. And now I was a blank slate. I could do whatever the hell I wanted with myself. And then the question was like, okay, what is it that I should invest myself in? And that's when this whole question started. Like I actually, this was one of the toughest times, because like there's a lot of lack of clarity. Because up until that point, I never had to deal with like a lack of clarity because I knew exactly what I wanted. I could go in that direction. But this time, like I was just like so confused. So um, it's a really tough time for somebody with my kind of a personality. Like I have a
I
strong
can totally
insight.
relate to it. I can
Yeah,
definitely relate to it because see, we have been wired in such a way that we do school, we do the schooling, and we are trained in a particular format that after our studies we go work, do the routine, the conventional way of life, right? And suddenly we are trying to break pattern and we are trying to do something different, right? And because as you rightly mentioned, we are wired to a certain thing, and then now we have to rewire our entire brain, and that is possible when we actually focus on trying to rewire ourselves about what we want in life rather than what we are
yeah,
trained for doing, right? And I think that takes a
exactly. So
lot of effort and energy as well. And I think greatly, meditation, yoga, and all of these steps, these stuffs also help us to sit in calm and think about what we really want to achieve, and it also helps us to rewire ourselves towards our goal. And one thing I would
exactly.
agree, Raghav. So lot many times, right? So when we talk about entrepreneurship or starting a business, initially when I also started thinking, I would agree that we are in a particular setup of environment and ecosystem where we immediately start thinking about profits, or we start thinking about, okay, how do I make money, right? Rather, the bigger problem or the actual success relies in how big is the problem that we are solving, right? And with that question, I would like to ask, what problem are you solving with Shuddhi Trust?
Right. Before I get to that, let me finish my response to the previous question because
Oh,
we were
yeah.
talking about like how I got to doing what I was doing. I think that partly also answers. I mean, I will answer the question that you just asked. Um, so I was in that stage where I was examining like the question of like what is it that is important, and like I said, the most important thing in the world right now is a human problem because human beings are the most potent source of impact in the world. And like I wanted to do something to just help human beings advance themselves personally, individually, as well as like as a society, so that we can live harmoniously, so that we can actually tackle the bigger problems. Because right now, if you look at it, the human beings are investing themselves in like really petty things like wars, like between ourselves, things that are really detrimental to our growth as a species. Um, my background in neuroscience also like helps me look at this in a perspective, because like if you look at diseased brain, they're they are spending a lot of effort into nothing. Like if you look at the brain of somebody who's depressed, there'll be a lot of activity going on, but to
Mm-hmm.
no effect.
Mm.
And when I was looking at the world in a similar way, we are all doing a lot of things, but to no effect. The effect is very minimal. So my vision when I started doing this was like to get to a point where we can channel the human energy in such a way that we are very efficient in how we utilize our potential as human beings, and then have something productive come out of that effort. So when I started examining this as a problem, this is the biggest problem, that this is my problem statement.
Mm.
And um, and the most important way to impact human beings is to target them when they're still young, because at a certain point of time, it's really, it's like molding a clay versus molding a stone, like like a brick. That's the difference between like molding a child and molding a grown adult.
Mm.
It's possible, but it's very uncommon for adults to like completely transform themselves in a big way. So that's why I chose education as a platform, because like education is the point in everybody is going through education. So that's a point in time where we can have like a transformational effect on the lives of those children to get them to a point where they're independent individuals who are capable of like being self-sufficient and to have a positive impact on their own life. And that positive impact, when it reaches certain threshold, it starts like spreading out to the others around them. So this is a very important point, because like as individuals, when we transform ourselves, when we give ourselves positive energy and give when we have a positive impact on our life, that will inevitably like overflow and then fill the lives of the other people around us. So I wanted to have that kind of an impact on human beings, and so children is a starting one. My When I started out, like my platform was supposed to be a general platform. Education was supposed to be like the first thing, because like to transform education is like a multi-decade initiative. It's a long-term plan. You
Right.
cannot just simply like have this revolution startup like that. You have to take a long time. It's a long-term vision. That's why it pays to start earliest. But when
Mm.
I started out, I had like 5 different agendas on my nonprofit's mandate. Um, I can go into those things, but education was the first one. The second one was like women empowerment, because like 50% of women, 50% of human beings on the planet are women, and they are constrained in a big way compared to just us. As individuals, we don't realize like how challenging it can be a woman. It can be to be a woman in society sometimes. So you have to think about a lot of things. And I wanted to work on women's safety as the second step, but we're still like I said, we're still at an early stage. So that's why we're focusing just on education. But the second thing was women empowerment, women safety, and things like that. The third thing was about food. Like I wanted to also work on in the food industry, like to revolutionize the way we eat. Because if you look at India, like we have terrible food habits. Like we are very we have a very high sugar intake, like carbohydrate sugar intake, and we don't really balance our diet. And in a way, we are better than some countries who eat like a lot of frozen foods and processed food. We do eat fresh foods and things like that. But I wanted to have a systematic approach to making healthy healthy way of eating more sustainable and more scalable. So that was the third thing that I wanted to look into. And then the fourth was um, to have an impact on the media, like to have a foolproof way of individuals such as ourselves to access truth, because it's so challenging to find um, like what is the actual truth. If you look at the media, like there's always like conflicting narratives, and there are people who are loyal to the conflicting narratives based on their own experiences. But as an independent observer, it's really hard to really truly get a sense of like what is the actual truth, because everybody is like working towards their own narrative, their own agenda, their own propaganda. So I wanted to do something in that regard, where we actually do something to help independent individuals like ourselves access the truth in a foolproof way. So that was the fourth thing. And then the fifth thing was to help people like promote like to promote um, better civic engagement in society. There are
Mm.
people like us who want to live in a better country, who have the means to create that happen, but then we don't really have the means to actually give the time and resources that we have as working individuals to do that. So I wanted to build a platform for people to volunteer to their causes, for volunteers and organizations and donors and all these people to come together to create impact in society that is non-governmental. Like, government has a certain role in shaping a society, but citizens have a bigger role. I feel like, and
Right.
we need to have an organized way to channel the energy of all these citizens to create that impact. So these are the 5 agendas that I had in my mandate when I
Mhm.
started out in 2017. So so that's the background for my nonprofit. And coming to the problem, of the first problem, the education, and how like I think your second question was about like why I chose education as a problem, and how I'm trying to create an impact. Like I've said, I think I've answered the question about like why I've chose education as a problem. And yeah, I mean, I think I've talked a
Yeah,
little lengthy bit about like the
you've
problem.
covered it. So let me try to break it. And
Mhm.
what I want to do is see the kind of mission that you have, right? That's very powerful, and it's very broad in spectrum as well. Because you're talking about education, which in itself is a big challenge And as you rightly pointed out, it's not a transformation that's going to happen in just a few years, right? It's a decade or probably a few decades,
Multi-decade.
multi-decade agenda. And then we spoke about food. Then you talk about how the energies of the common people sinking together to make a bigger impact. A lot of things, very interesting things. And of course, you also spoke about women empowerment. Right now, at this stage, which is your focus area, and what you're currently doing at Shuddhi Trust?
Right. So, like I said, basically a young organization. So, even though we have this like really expansive vision with all these 5 different agendas, this is going to take a lot of time for us to like establish all of
Mhm.
them. And when I said that agenda, like when I said that mandate, like my goal was to set the foundation for each of these 5 things for in the next 10 years. Before 2030, we were going to set the foundation for each of those 5 things, and that's going to happen. It's going to take some time. Um, but for now, like I said, we're working solely on Shuddhi Vidya, which is our educational initiative. And so, so what we are doing with Shuddhi Vidya is, like I said, initially I was doing it live, going to different schools and teaching the kids over there in person. And then we moved to online, doing it remotely. And I was for some time I was doing it using Google Sheets and Google Classroom as a platform and all those. But it was really a lot of effort. So I decided to build uh, a non-profit edtech platform,
Mhm.
basically completely customized solution that was specifically suited for our need. Because this is something that was going to be relevant for us, because we are looking at creating innovation in the space. So if you look at like successful for-profit tech startups like big tech, like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all these companies have like a research and development department that is focusing on the psychology of the users, and like how the interface impacts their use, their psychology and all those things. So we are looking at something similar, with a product like ours. So Shuddhi Vidya is available at the vidya.io. This custom design platform is a crucial step in that revolution that I'm talking about, because we can customize the interface and customize the UX of that software to have a impact on the psychology of the students. And because we are a non-profit, we're not really interested in making profit out of it, because if you look at the perspective of the big tech, when they're doing all those R&D, their goal is to get you addicted to the software, so that more and more people spend more and more time on the platform, so that they can get more and more ad revenue. But here our agenda is not that. We are looking at different problems, like, okay, how do we organize our interface so that we can actually motivate the children to come back and spend more time in learning
Mhm.
something that is of interest to them? How do we motivate them to express themselves in creative ways? And how do we motivate them to be independent in learning? How do we motivate them to apply the knowledge that they're gaining on the platform? So these are the kind of problems that we're trying to solve with the platform. And the fact that we have a custom solution, custom software to do this is very powerful, as a means of creating this revolution. Because as time progresses, we'll refine this software to a point where it is highly streamlined. It's really attractive to the age group that we're targeting. We're right now we're targeting age group of 12 to 16.
Mhm.
But moving forward, we'll also target younger children to assist them in ways that are relevant to them.
Mhm.
So this is how we're trying to solve this. Like our online platform is a very important like factor in the equation of creating that revolution. I can show you that platform in a little bit, if you have the time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's where we are. Yeah, that's where we are.
Great, great. So that sounds very interesting and incredible. Okay, I'm sure that you have already launched this product, and you have touched a few lives, right? Can you share some of the heartwarming success stories that you've seen, or any
Yeah,
transformations that you have witnessed from students who have taken
yeah,
such programs?
yeah. So far we've like taught, like, maybe I would say like 500 to 600 kids so far, and this year actually we've received 1,200 new registrations for just this year alone. This is the highest
It's lovely.
number we've received so far.
Mhm.
Each year, like, usually it's like maybe a couple of hundred, 300, something like that. This year 1,200 is the first time, and we are ready to take it. We're at a point where we are happy to scale up. And over the past few years, several things have happened. When I was still doing um, like the live classes. So one of the times, like I went to a school called RVN School. This was a school run by the Udavam Karangal Trust. It's a non-profit based in Chennai, and they run orphanages, they run schools, colleges for underprivileged children, women, and all these things. So when I went there, this was like maybe 2019, I think. I went there, and I spent only 1 month there. So every day on weekdays after the school, they'll offer me 1 hour to teach the kids something. And throughout that 1 month, I taught them how to build websites. And at the end of it, I gave them a competition, saying that, okay, so now you know how to build websites. Now let's have a competition where you can create teams of people. So there were like the 30 students or something like that, and then all of them were girls. Okay, these are the girls the school. So they were also from underprivileged. They would not be able to afford the education unless this was subsidized by the non-profit to like through the donations that they receive. And at the end of that month, I gave them a competition to build a website for that school.
Okay.
And all the kids built amazing websites, and we chose one particular website, and even now that is the school's website. And one of the kids in that winning team, she's still in touch with me as she's progressing in her career, and she got interested in computer science after doing the course with us, and then she's actually graduated, and she's even in touch with me after this, and she's looking for employment at this moment, and I'm helping her with that as well. Like I'm helping her build her resume and send it out to how to doing like a guidance kind of thing. So that's one small story. Another one is like this happened very recently. This January, I one girl, like 14-year-old girl, from a village. So she started using our platform, and at the time, she wanted to help her dad's business. Okay, so her dad was doing a driving school. He's an auto driver or something like that, and he was setting up a business for teaching driving. So he was setting up a driving school, and like he was struggling with it, and she thought that she wanted to help him in some way, and she thought that it would be great if she could build a website for her dad's company. And that was in January. There's a video of her talking about giving feedback and thanking us for giving a free way to learn how to build websites. And that was in January. And in May, she actually built the website, and that actually won the second prize in a competition that we conducted. So every year we conduct a competition, and she built this website for her dad's company, and it's actually really amazing because like she's thought about a lot of things, like how to invite the users to explore their services that they're offering, the testimonials from past customers. She's done all of that, and I can show you that as well. So this happened, and like these kids, like they would never have this opportunity if not for the fact that we're providing it free of cost, and doing it in a way that's really engaging for them. And they can learn all of these things on their smartphone. They don't need a computer at home. Most 90% of the kids who are working with us, like who are benefiting from our work, they're accessing the platform through the smartphones because they don't have the means to buy a computer or laptop. The schools don't have enough computers, so they're doing it on the smartphone, and our platform is customized. Is optimized for mobile use as well. So those are a couple of small stories, but I have a lot of other stories of successful, where we benefited children in a great way.
Hey, that's really inspiring because you've not just come up with an idea, with a vision, but you have also managed to implement it and also create an impact with underprivileged students and to get them results. See, you have tried to cover the spectrum of coming with the conception of idea to actually implementing it and to launch it and to take it to the end audience, your target audience, and to enable them to use it and see results. So this, I think, is very very promising in the kind of how you have progressed from 2017. Raghav, so with that, I have one curious question that has been running in my mind, right? I think a lot of people who are watching, they'll also have similar kind of questions. You mentioned that this is a non-for-profit organization, right? And providing education free education for students is like very, very commendable thing. But bro, how do you really manage, running a non-for-profit organization, and what kind of, because there's going to be a lot of investment that is needed to, for your product development, and to actually take this idea to the market, right? So how do you manage your funds part, and how does that happen basically?
Right. So when I first started out, I mean, there was literally nothing. Even I didn't have much savings because like I was kind of employed for peanuts at the time. So right now we're at a point where we have some donations from friends and family, and our operational costs are such that I built the website on my own, there was no development cost. So that for most startups working on this, like development cost is a huge factor. When you're building a web app or like a mobile app or something, because the development actually back when I was in college, I wanted to build an app, like a startup at that time as well. And when I was looking for developers who could assist me, they were like charging insane amounts of money. And I was completely discouraged by that. And at the time I didn't know how to code. So like I mentioned, I learned coding and web development after I came back to India and I was doing that exploration part. So that really came in handy because at this time, when I was transitioning from the Google Classroom, Google Sheets, whatever existing patch up job I could do on an online thing, when I was transforming from that to a streamlined, customized solution, I invested. I took a year off from my employment. I just quit my job in 2020, and then I spent like maybe 6 to 7 months building this application. This is like a UI app and an API application and customizing the designs. I actually learned a lot to do all those things. Actually, these are things that typically are handled by multiple people in a team or something like that. But I spent a lot of time. I was doing this full time at the time. So building that application was the biggest chunk of financial investment that you could say. And thankfully, because I have the skills myself, I was able to do it on my own. And after that, the maintenance cost, like you have a monthly maintenance cost of this application. This cloud hosting for your database and your servers and everything. I've managed to optimize all of those things in a big way. So the cost, the monthly running cost for my startup is like it's like it's less than $100 per month. I think it varies month by month because it also depends on the usage, how many kids are using it and how many database requests we make and all those things. It also has an impact on the final cost, but it's less than $100. But we are impacting hundreds of kids with the $100 per month cost.
Wow.
And like I said, we have donations coming in from friends and family. Some of them are regular donors, and they're able to, with that, I'm able to like have the monthly cost, and there are also legal expenses to running a non-profit as well. So there's a chartered accountant cost and all those things. Those are also like initially for the first couple of years, I was investing my own savings out of it, but thankfully now I have some donations. But this year we are planning to do targeted fundraising campaigns to raise a lot of funds so that we can hire teams of people and really scale up our operation. So that's where we are, and I think it differs from the perspective of for-profit, because when you're running a for-profit, timeline is really tight. Timelines are really tight. You need to deliver to your customers. If you're charging your customers, especially, you have to deliver to your customers, and you have to have dedicated teams and all those things. So it's thankfully, for us, it's a little different, and the timelines are not as urgent. I don't have like stakeholders pushing me from the top, like, okay, you need to get this done by this time. I can actually take my time and do things. And sometimes actually, because we're a non-profit, we're also having to use volunteer support. Sometimes the volunteers are not as reliable as you would want them to. So things are a little like, uncertain at times. But thankfully, so far, we've been able to like make consistent progress year on year. And this year is really special because we're planning a lot of big things and we're planning to make a lot of huge impact. Actually, one more thing I want to mention is that one other thing really helped out was that there was a company. This was something that I found out through a friend's friend, like from a former colleague introduced me to somebody else who's the founder of a large software company. It is Logic. There's a company in Logic based in Chennai, and they have centers around the world actually. So they actually offered a software team for us to maintain the software, because I went to the founder's house and explained the problem and what we're doing, and he was really happy to loan a software team to help our initiative. So they're actually doing a lot of the work right now to maintain and upgrade the software, which I'm honestly so thankful for. Like if not for that, I would really struggle to like make progress from where we are right now. So because of people donating like that, people with good hearts, like donating like that, we've been able to maintain our progress so far.
Yeah, that's lovely to hear, to know that a lot of people are actually coming up forward to help such non-for-profits, especially when the vision is powerful, right? When you want to create an impact that is powerful, I think people definitely would see the value in it, and I'm sure that lot and lot more such donors will come, and they will your trust will grow much bigger in format. Yeah, that's very promising in terms of how we have approached the entire set of problems. But here's the thing, right? uh, I'm sure that you're approaching this teaching program, with a very unique style that is very different from the traditional, conventional formats in other institutions, right? So, can you tell us a bit more about how you make this learning program enjoyable and valuable to your target audience, which is basically the students? And if possible, you can also share your, website shows about, how it is dealt with. Maybe you can also give us a glimpse of your platform as well.
All right, let me do that. Let me share my screen and I'll walk you through the actual the implementation and everything.
Yeah, I'd love to.
So, okay. So our application is available at vidya.io. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So vidya.io is where we are. Our platform is available, and the name of the platform should be Vidya. And the way we have organized our. So I'll show you a little bit about the homepage of Survey. So we have a couple of courses right now. Introduction to web development using HTML and CSS. So we don't actually use a software like WordPress or something like that to build websites. We teach some coding. This is meant to be a introductory course to coding, and then we teach some JavaScript for web development. So these are the three technologies that are used for front-end web development in a way. And we have a page for listing the institutions that are partnering with us. Right now there are 10 institutions. We are working to partner with more institutions, and we also have a page to showcase like the list of profiles of the students who are participating with us. So you can see here all the students who are with us on the platform, and if you click on their individual tile, like you can see their profile and what courses they're taking and what is their performance in those courses, and then if they've completed any projects, what are those projects, and you can click on them and you can see websites that they've built. So, for example, this student is actually, I think he's a 12th standard student from Vanavasi, Tamil Nadu. So he's built his website on calculators. Okay, so I didn't teach any of this. Like these are things that are they're coming up with their own creativity. Okay, so I only teach them like how to build buttons, tables, images, this that. So the context of application is something that comes from them. So here he's built a functional calculator, and you can actually use it online. So this is one example, but basically this is the thing, like we are trying to build this platform in such a way that there's a social component to it. You have a user profile, and you're able to publish your works on that profile, and then other people can come and have a look at it. And it's not really apparent right now, but this is actually a ranked list of students. So the students actually have an incentive to perform better because their name would appear first if they do so. Now let me take you to the courses. So we have this is a draft course, but these are the main two courses that are there. And if you look at it here on the platform, what we do is like this is a course that is meant for students who have no prior experience with coding or technology of any kind. So when they come in, they're like 12-year-old, 13-year-old students who have no coding experience. They don't know anything other than using WhatsApp or YouTube, maybe whatever they're able to do on their parents' smartphone that they can do. So we show them all the way from first. I give them an overview of what is happening in this course and what they can expect, and then immediately I start teaching them how to Google for things, because this is a very important thing. To be independent in being able to learn things that you don't know. So we have a concept called learning to learn that we reinforce in this course. So we teach them how to Google, and throughout the course we will reinforce that habit of Googling for things that they don't know. So for young kids, that is like something that is new. They have not been taught formally how to Google for things. And then we teach them how the internet works, what is an email ID, what is a website made of. And each of these are like, when you click on this, like you'll get to see a course, like a video, pre-recorded video that is freely available on YouTube, but it's in English and Tamil. I actually dubbed in Tamil myself. And then they have some bunch of exercises that they have to complete to demonstrate that they've understood what the lesson is about. So
Mhm.
slowly, actually right now, because I'm logged into my admin account, it's not visible, but this is like only when they complete this one, the next one is unlocked. So they have to go
Okay.
sequentially.
Mm.
That is a feature that our platform is allowing. And I teach them all the way like basics, and then the section 4 is where they start learning the concepts like basic HTML, how to set up their device for coding, whether they're using a smartphone or computer, how to use it for coding, and slowly we get them to a point where they get to do demo projects. Basically,
Mm.
up until here, they started learning different concepts in HTML and CSS. Here we give them challenges for
Mm.
problems that they've never encountered before, so that they can use the knowledge that they've gained so far to solve problems. And this is the really important part, because like this is something that they never get in traditional schools.
Mm.
In traditional schools, what do they get? Like they get to do exams that are basically you remembering what you were asked to memorize, and then you're supposed to like reproduce that.
Right.
And they never get the opportunity to have face new challenges where application of their knowledge is required, right? So here we are mandating that they have to complete these challenges using the knowledge that they've gained so far, and that really builds their confidence in their own skills to a point where they can do something unique. So here, I'll just show you an example of like what kind of challenges we ask them to solve. Um, in the second course, like if you look at it, um, there are like we teach them all the basics, and then we teach them like how to, for example, this particular uh, challenge is about. So I give them the challenge of like, okay, I want you to build a software application that does this. Okay, so I'll show them what the end product should do. So it should generate these random lights like a disco light. Okay, so
Okay.
that is the challenge, and I've never taught them how to do this. So
Okay.
they are supposed to go and find out how to achieve this effect using Googling skills and their own coding skills so far, and then they're
Mhm.
supposed to submit their project. So
Okay.
once they're done, they're supposed to like publish, they create the code and then publish their code into a website and share the link.
Right.
So I will look at the link, and then provide this thing. So like this, we're giving them small challenges to build them up to a point where they're able to do multiple different things with their skills, and finally they get to do a project. So we are very very keen on project based evaluation, project based learning, that kind of thing. So they don't have a final exam or anything at this course.
Mm.
But their final exam is basically a project that they have to build on their
Mm.
own interest. Anything they can choose, any topic of any interest, and then
Mhm.
we tell them what do we assess their project on, and
Mm.
they're supposed to like basically use this as guidelines for building their application. And then
Right.
once they're done, they share the link, and then those links are what we will see over here. So their final projects are like posted over here, and I can
Okay.
show you some examples. For example, this one, this is a website built by this student named Gopinath.
Mhm.
He's a ninth standard student, okay, from
Okay.
Dharmapuri in Tamil Nadu, and he's built a couple of websites. So this one um, is basically like a platform to browse through his favorite animes and cartoons. Okay,
Okay.
like every child comes with their own interest, and you can see that he's actually made this video that's running in the background. So he's
Yes.
used multiple videos and then put them all together and made this background video. And you can see this is all completely done by him. This is not using a CMS or a WordPress or something like that. This is like every inch of this is like done by him. He's using his own code. So you can actually see the all the code he's done by clicking on this. Um, so I'll show you this website a little bit, because this was the first prize winner for this year's competition actually.
Yeah.
Um, so he's built this website where you can see all these things, and then there's like a lot of complex UI features, like not complex, but like these are like novel features for young students. So he's given all these like tabs kind of things, and this kind of like JavaScript animations to expand and contract these things. And if you look at this kind of a thing where he's given a database of like a different cartoons and their
Mm.
IMDb ratings and all that. So, and also you can see the animations. Even to be honest, like even I don't know how he did this. I have to look at
Mhm.
the code to understand how he did it. But basically, he's given a website that you would actually find on the internet. For example, if you're looking at cartoons and animes, you probably want to like browse through a website like this, and yeah, like like I said, he's also like done this kind of cataloging of different things, adding videos, their
Yeah.
IMDb ratings, Rotten Tomato ratings, and all these things. So he spent a lot of time. The one thing that you can understand, like even if you don't have any understanding of coding, is that this kid has spent a lot of time in doing this, and you only do that when you enjoy what you're doing, right?
Right.
So that is something that I take a lot of pride in, because like the way we're conducting this course, it
Mhm.
actually makes it more fun for them to do it, and then they're
Mhm.
able to enjoy the process and learn through that. Sorry, I took a lot of time to explain that, but I think I gave a comprehensive, like overview of what the platform does. And also, one of the things is that grading is a huge component of like conducting courses like this. So we have a customized solution for grading where when the students submit a course, we get to see it like this.
Mhm.
So, for example, this question is asking about like use Google to find out the first person to go to space, and then write their name below, and then he submitted this answer, which is the right answer, and we have the solution to like actually look up what the actual answer is. And this is a grading key in case like we have volunteers grading these assignments. They can click
Mhm.
on this, they can see the answers. And this is right. So I'm going to give them 2 points and then save it. And then this will go to their profile and say that they've scored these many points. So
Mhm.
in a way, it's like a video game kind of experience where they go level by level. Like in video games, you complete level one, go to level two, like that. You complete one lesson, you get a certain score in that lesson, and then you go to the next lesson. So in a way, like I've actually seen the kind of behavior where the students will go to the class and then they will talk about like all the things that they've done. I've scored these many points. How many I've used? They have this kind of a fun competing spirit with them. So for example, this is like a question on the distance between the Earth and the Moon, and I think this is not the right answer. But yeah, so in that case, I would just like say that um, please, that would be said. So like this, we have the option to return their submissions as well.
Okay.
So I'll do that a little bit later. But basically, this is the platform.
Okay, I get the idea. So
Yeah.
basically, it's got like the entire learning management system inbuilt in it, and then you're also giving projects, not just the course of theory, but you're also giving, projects or assignments for them to get on hand-on experience of what they're
Hang on.
learning. So that way, so they can also feel the community. I can also see that there's a community level of effort that you've
Yeah.
created, like a community experience for students so they can see what the fellow students are doing, and they can also
Yeah.
showcase their work, right? So it's like, okay, hey, I've
Exactly.
built this
Exactly.
nice website, so here's the link, go check out, give feedbacks, take
Yeah.
suggestions from me. And in fact, you were also very humble in saying that, okay, you also didn't know how this guy has actually managed to get that
Yeah. Yeah.
animation. And one way, it has been very humble, down to earth for you to say that, coming from a founders perspective. But then that's the strength of this platform, what I believe, because when other students start learning, so for me, for let's say, for example, if I were to learn coding and build a website, I'll obviously look for some inspirations, right? Number one, right? Number two, and I think the website that you show is like mind blogging in terms of how he has thought about. I mean, can you imagine a ninth standard kid? Because I put myself in the shoes where when I was doing ninth standard, I hardly had any clue about building a website with
Yeah.
full-fledged coding like this. And I think this kind of empowers students to be ready for this upcoming generation, right? this
Yeah.
is this is very powerful, and it is very evident. Needless to say more about it, the way the entire platform, the program is built, it is so much very evident that the kind of impact this kind of initiatives will have on students
Yeah.
life, right? So with that, Raghav, what I would also like to understand right now, so this is a big vision, and of course your platform is very powerful, and I'm sure that a lot of organizations, a lot of schools, maybe a lot of education institutions, they would want something like this.
Yeah.
Okay, now, and of course, collaborations, I know for sure, can make a significant impact in terms of how this initiative can reach the larger audience. So how do you collaborate with other organizations or communities to enhance the reach and effectiveness? And let's say what some institution is interested to take up your program, in their curriculum. So how does that work?
All right. So, like I mentioned earlier that, this year is really important for us because we're trying to scale up our operations. We've established a routine thing that can happen year on year, but this year
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to scale up things in three dimensions. Okay. The first dimension is the number of courses that we have on the platform. So right now we have these two courses. These are things that I was able to teach on my own. But I want this to be a comprehensive catalog of courses that will target every domain of intelligence of the child. Actually, if we have time, we'll go over some of the things that I've actually planned for the future, like what are the courses that we're looking at building. So that is one area where we're collaborating with volunteers. Actually, every day I'm getting requests from volunteers who from different parts of the world who have some skill or the other. They're trying to help us, and I'm like slowly I'm recruiting them and helping them build courses for our platform. So that's one area where we're able to channel the help of other volunteers. We're also being contacted by other NGOs. We also outreach and contact to other NGOs who are working with children, so that they can use this platform for the children that they are helping in some way. So that most of the NGOs won't have the technical knowledge to teach coding and things like that to their kids. So that is where we come in and we fill in that gap. So we are like an educational partner for that NGO, whether they are an orphanage or a NGO doing small scale activities. We partner with those schools and NGOs to help them. So that's the second thing. And also we're also using volunteers' help to do fundraising and things like that. So this is how we're doing it. We're basically going and reaching out to NGOs, schools, companies for the CSR or volunteers, and then using their help to do this. So every day I have meetings with somebody or the other who's a volunteer or an organization founder, talk about these things.
Okay, so what is the process like? If suppose somebody, let's say I'm interested in volunteering, right? Or somebody is interested in maybe they are in an NGO or maybe they're in school and they want to take up this particular initiative inside their institution. So how do they reach out to you?
Right.
Yeah.
There are a couple of ways. So we on our website, official website, that's shuddhitrust.org. You can go to support, and here you have the option to support us with donations or volunteering. So if you click on this volunteer button, you can fill out your form, and I'll contact you, and we'll have a call about like how we can help each other.
Yeah, I think it would also help to leave a link of this in the video description so people can who are interested can apply as well. So great. That's great. Now one before we wrap up, I know we had a very long very interesting session in terms of discussing a lot of things, but what is your advice to young and budding and aspiring entrepreneurs? Because you being an entrepreneur yourself and coming up with such an noble cause to provide education for free to underprivileged students, I'm sure that you would have handled a lot of challenges. We spoke about the funding issues, and to reach these institutions you need a lot of team support, a lot of these things, right? So this journey is definitely challenging. Entrepreneurship is not very easy thing, and it's not just something that you can jump right into and get it you can build very quickly, right? So but I see you as someone who has been able to have the conviction and the determination to pitch, have that, create the idea, convert that into a product, implement it, and help people to see results. And all along I can actually sense the passion that you bring, right? Even when you're sharing your experiences, what your product is about, how you help people, the transformations that the school students the underprivileged students have had, that really brings out the passion that you have in this, right? So what is your advice, if you were to give like top 3 advices for budding entrepreneurs, we do also conduct weekly or bi-weekly entrepreneurship networking sessions, right? So a lot of these young college students, they come out and they say they have some idea in their mind, but there's no clear direction in terms of how they have to streamline those ideas into a successful entrepreneurship or a startup. So what would be your top 3 advice to such budding and aspiring entrepreneurs?
Yeah. Actually, before I respond to the question, I also want to remind you that I wanted to talk about this. Basically, a bunch of other courses that we are planning in the future. But we'll remind me, and we'll get to it at the end. But to answer your question, what are the 3 things that I want young entrepreneurs to focus on? I think one of the most important things for every individual is to take the time to introspect as to what is important to you, because without that is the fuel. you have to have that inner clarity, inner conviction, you have to be clear on what it is that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Without that clarity and that passion and towards what you're doing, I think it's really difficult to make progress, because like that is not something that you can receive from the outside.
Right.
That is something that has to come from the within. And so that is one very important thing. Find out what it is that you really want, and what is it that really interests you. Like, identify the problem outside. So identifying the problem statement outside, that is also important. So once you have the passion and conviction figured out within yourself, then you have to look at outside and identify a problem that really interests you, something that you're confident that you can actually make an impact, and you'd be happy to receive that impact. So that's one thing. And the second thing is, I think once you do that, you're going to be like fish out of water. Like you won't know what to do, because like that is something that every one of us is going through, right? So don't feel discouraged by that. I think it's really important for you to network and find people to talk to, get inspiration from. Actually, that is one of the biggest reasons why we're doing this startup stuff. We want to like capture those young people who are still not sure how to proceed, and then like introduce them to other people who have had some experience. They can draw inspiration from, ask questions, and get to know these things. This is really, really important. The second thing is the networking part. And the third thing is like persistent. I think you need to really be persistent about your efforts. You cannot just like give up. If I had given up after 1 year, we wouldn't be getting here to the point where we have a much more evolved solution, right? So those are three things that I would say, you really need to focus on, and you need to have a strong hold on, because these are not things that some of those things that can come from outside, but the main things are something that you have to bring out from within. That's why I think if you see the founders, like successful founders, they're all people with strong conviction and passion for what they're doing. So figure out where that lies for you, and I think that's where you will have success.
Right, great. I mean, this is a very straightforward, clear, answer that you've given, and it totally relates, because the purpose is very important. You need to know why you're doing what you're doing. Without the purpose,
Exactly.
nothing is going to stay for longer, right? So the first thing is purpose, and the second thing is it is about
Networking
networking,
and
because networking and learning from other people, sharing your experiences,
yeah.
to have that engagement going on. And the third thing you spoke about is persistence, and I'm sure, like, these are very, very crucial to be, successful and to do something in the startup ecosystem. Yeah. So coming back to this, Raghav, you can quickly show us, what are your other programs that you have planned, in the upcoming.
Yeah. So, like I said, the three dimensions in which we're trying to grow, like one of them is like, building up a course catalog to be more comprehensive. So we actually have a bunch of courses planned out. Things like Google Office Suite, like how to use Google Forms, Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides. That is like a course that we're working on right now. And
Okay.
also internet basics, like how to create accounts. If you talk to these 12 and 13-year-old kids that we're working with, they don't know the difference between sign up, sign in, register, login. All these things are really new terms to them. So we're working on a course to like formalize, having a formal introduction to these things, how to use Google, how to book train tickets, how to use online shopping. Yeah, a lot of other things that will make them like more effective in their own personal lives. And English foundation. English is a huge thing that I see that a lot of kids are lacking. They don't know, they don't use English properly. Even the really good schools, you'll find that kids are translating in their head and speaking. They don't have a strong foundation in effective communication in English. So we have built up like a learning pathway. So each
Right.
of these bold items is like a learning pathway in itself, and these are the individual courses within that. And so we start with like basic writing, reading, and all that, and then listening, speaking, and writing in English. Actually, this is something that is, I think, once we establish this, we're going to have a huge national scale impact, because most of the in most of the Indian schools, we don't focus on writing. If you go to other countries, you will see that they're all trained to do a lot of reading and a lot of writing.
Right.
That comes part of the education process. But here we do not do that at all. So we're trying to introduce them at an early age so that we can have a generation of effectively communicating individuals. And we're doing it for English first, but we will also have similar courses for other languages as well. Because I think it's really important to also revive our like traditional languages. They have so much richness, and sadly, very few people are learning it in a deep, meaningful way, right? So we want to have courses on those as well. And the third one is like a technical, like building a web application. So these two we already have introduced. So we want to work also like do design course, because if you look at the tech industry, there's a lot of demand for designers, but there are not enough people who are trained in that. Because if you look at even the computer science education in our country, you'll see that a lot of them focus on Java backend development. There's very few people who are coming in from front end development or design aspect. So we are focusing on that as well. And these are all like tools that will help them build. Even a 14-year-old child can start building an app like Twitter or Facebook once they go through this learning pathway.
Wow.
So you can see the financial prospect of somebody would do something like that, right? And then programming, technology exploration. We're also like looking into creating a course on game design. Using a lot of kids are into video games. They want to play video games, but I want them to start going to the other end of, like, instead of being a consumer, you have to be a creator. So I want to get into game design and all that, machine learning, and we're also working on a frontiers in technology course. I have to put that here. So basically, we are looking into creating a course that basically introduces them to different areas of industries where they're using cutting edge technology like robotics or space travel or like AI tools, a lot of things, because I want them to be inspired. First of all, inspiration is the seed for success. You have to be inspired either from within or from outside. You have to find that inspiration. So we're building this course to like get them inspired in the STEM fields, like technical fields. Right. And personal development, self-discipline, how to utilize your time effectively, maybe the meditation, how to prevent being distracted by other things. All these things will teach in one course. Because to be honest, these are so critical, but our formal education does not focus on this at all.
Right.
It makes no sense that we're not touching on these things at all. These are like personal development is really huge. And I think we're also focusing on that as a learning pathway. We're also working with somebody who has experience with for example, sex education and personal safety. Like, for children, it's really important that they understand there is such a thing as appropriate touch and inappropriate touch. Right. So when they're with adults or family, it's important for them to know how to deal with things like that, because a lot of kids are getting abused by people that they know, like their neighbors or friends or uncles or whatever. So
this is a very crucial thing, because especially since you are targeting underprivileged children, a lot many times their parents are not educated, right?
Yeah,
so they do not get the opportunity to be taught on these subjects. Nobody tells them what is a good touch, bad touch for these kids.
Exactly.
Right? And they don't know how to react or what to do next, right? So especially I think a lot of people also, they are put under such circumstances. This underprivileged student, there are chances that as compared to a regular a middle class or upper middle class family. So the kind of
I think a lot of children are really vulnerable to this kind of a thing. Even like even for example, if you're a really affluent family and you're sending your child to a daycare or something like that, like letting somebody babysit them, these things can happen. So we are working on a course, because like if you look at the schools, like only the highest privileged schools, like private expensive schools, have programs for sex education or things like that. There are progressive people who appreciate those things. They have that, but we want to create a course on our platform by a trained, certified professional who's able to deliver a course on this, so that even the normal commonplace children who cannot afford these paid courses can benefit from it. So yeah, we are really proud to be able to work with people who are offering these courses and give it for free for the kids.
Right. And I see that you also have covered arts as well. So I think you're trying to cover the entire spectrum of what the essential skills and knowledge people would need to be successful in their life later. So that's very interesting to see all the entire the spectrum of courses you've been you're trying to cover. I'm really encouraged, and I believe this is going to take an entire new shape on itself in terms of how this will create impact in children's life. And I'm sure that a lot of other institutions, education institutions, NGOs, schools will be interested in taking such a program. Plus, I am also very confident that a lot of people who are going to watch this video, they might be from any of this particular domain, and they might want to add value. Probably they are into arts, or they're into communication skills.
Absolutely.
Or they're probably into tech skills like coding and Java and stuff like that, and they probably want to contribute, because ultimately they're contributing to the underprivileged children, which is an NGO, basically. So a non-for-profit again. So I think a lot of people will actually show interest to contributing to your your initiative, Raghav. With that, I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to interview and ask you to learn about what you're doing and to understand all the challenges and how you have handled all of this to create something that is so powerful, right? And to deliver that in a successful way that actually it is helping children to basically learn, but also not just learn, but also to implement and see results, right? So thank you so much for that, and it's very special. I feel very warm and blessed to have people like you coming up with such causes, such powerful vision to contribute to the society as a whole. And it's been an absolute pleasure, Raghav. And thanks to our viewers for joining us and watching in this video. And I would request all of you to see how you can contribute to such initiatives. Maybe you can spend like a couple of hours in your weekends to contribute a particular topic, your subject matter of expertise, which will help building this entire platform in a much more powerful and faster way. So with that, Raghav, if you have anything to share with the as a final note, you can share, and then we could wrap up the session.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Ajay, for the opportunity to to showcase to the world what we're working on. And I know I've talked a lot, I've talked a lot. I think that's something I have to work on to sort of make it briefer. But I'll just take a couple of minutes to add some final notes to what I was saying. You can see from where we are. Right now, if you look at our courses, it's like just two technical courses, and people may think that we are just working on coding, but we are. That's why I wanted to show this part, because our agenda is much wider. We want to activate every domain of intelligence of the children, and I can guarantee you that within the next 10 years, Shuddhi Vidya is going to be something that is a household name. Because we are doing something that is unique in the industry. You can see the other educational platforms, the tech startups. They're all they have a certain flavor to it, but we are offering something that's very unique. And I know for a fact that we're going to have a fundamentally unique impact in the society. And I'm looking forward to that, and I would love to receive as much support and encouragement from others as possible. Like you said, anybody who's interested in volunteering, you can go to our website shuddhitrust.org/support and fill up this form, and I would connect with you, and I would interview. I'll show you how you can help us do better. So yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity, and maybe in a year from now we can reconnect again, and then I can show you some of the advances we've done, and then it will be nice to revisit some of these challenges as well.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it, Raghav. Thank you so much for joining us again, and it's been it's been an honor and pleasure to host you, and to know about what Shuddhi Vidya is doing. So very encouraging, very inspiring. I also see in terms of the other people who are watching, our viewers who are watching this video, who are having some interest in entrepreneurship. They're probably thinking about, okay, what sort of entrepreneurship problems I can attack, how I can launch a startup. So you also, while you have been talking about what you have been doing, you've also shared some great insights on how to handle problems, how you kind of navigate through challenges in terms of you even spoke about how meditation was even helpful to give you that clarity, and that slowly became your purpose at some point, right? So it gave you the wisdom to start focusing on Shuddhi Vidya. Now this on the other front is also what a lot of people face as a challenge. They're stuck, they're struggling, right? So you've also greatly given valuable nuggets to a lot of our viewers, and I'm sure this is a very useful video that people who watch will enjoy. With that note, I thank you so much once again, and thanks to all the viewers, and keep following us for more such interesting conversations and dialogues we're going to have. And you can also if you are an entrepreneur, a business owner, okay, somebody who's a budding entrepreneur, you have something to showcase to us, we would love to host you as well. You can also share, we will also share you a link where you can apply for an interview, and we can schedule that for you as well. And looking forward to see you in more such videos. Signing off, Ajay and Raghav from the Startup Club. Cheers.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.